Welcome back to another video, guys. Here, I don't know if my voice is like a little scratchy or anything like that, but I'm not feeling too good. I don't know if my voice is gonna be scratchy or anything like that. But anyways, what does it mean to be sexist? And this is a problem in the world, and well, this also has to do with feminism too. I am not a feminist. I am also not trying to be sexist at all. I am not sexist, even though I am a man. I am not sexist. I try not to, anyways. But if you really want to be technical, everybody's a little bit sexist. Everybody is sexist. Because men and women are not the same, and that is clearly the case. In physical and neurology, the way we learn is different, the way we act is different. And, of course, biblically, we are indefinitely different. If you are a Christian, in the end of the video, I'm going to be pulling out some verses that has to do with the gender roles. And I'll explain more of it. Explain more of it, too. But if you're not a Christian, I strongly suggest that you become a Christian. Now, I did not put anything really about feminism in here. This is just basically on sexism. It does talk about some feminist stuff. You know, like, you know how feminist people think that men and women are equal. And, of course, that is clearly not the case. So, well, let's go on the next slide. Well, I'm going to define sexist here, and the dictionary says sexist, it's an adjective, relating to or characterizing or prejudges, stereotyping, or discrimination, typically against women, on the basis of sex. His attitude to women is that's actually an example. His attitude to women is I can't talk today. Sorry. I'm just bad at pronouncing things. Patronizing and sexist. Next slide. Now, men and women do have pros and cons. Yeah, you have your men's pros and your women's pros. Men is stronger, men is faster. Men are able to protect with strength. Not saying that women can't do the same. I am saying that because women also are strong too. I knew a few girls that were pretty strong and could take care of themselves. And not that as if a woman knows karate or anything like that, then they're actually able to protect herself. Probably more than a man can, if they don't know how to do karate or fight. But it all goes back down to as strength and all that. But men usually are aggressive and fight more. Like I said, I'm not saying that women can't do the same. Built for work. Men are built for work, and men have thicker skin. Men, when they get brain injuries, like concussions and all that, they tend to heal faster. And they burn more fat, so they burn their fat faster. Oh, wait. Sorry, my nose is a little bit clogged. Women's pros. Women can give childbirth, which some women probably would disagree that that's a pro. Women are more flexible. I'm not saying that men can't be flexible. They can be flexible. I should have put that there. Men can be flexible, but women are usually more flexible. Women are more tougher to be able to give childbirth and be able to take that kind of stuff. They're able to stay hydrated longer, and they eat less. And they're usually more empathetic. Not saying that men aren't empathetic, but they're usually more empathetic. And of course, there is more pros for women. I did not exactly. I did look up some of this stuff, but this is just the stuff I came up with at the time. And if I would have done a whole crap load of elaborate research, I would be able to find a lot more on both sides. There's more men pros and women pros, and there's also more women cons and more men cons. Next slide, I'll be talking about the cons. Men cons. Men need to eat more. Men need to drink more. Sometimes, to men are sometimes too compatible, um, like with fighting or driving, racing, or anything like that. I'm not saying women can't be the same because women are the same, especially with women that play sports and stuff like that. Women can be very competitive, and since feminists did come out, women can be very competitive against men, as it seems. But originally and nowadays, a lot of times it is men being very competitive, and in fact, that's one reason why they say that men aren't too. Well, men are pretty good drivers, but men can be bad drivers because of racing other people. Because of that competitive, because we're more competitive. Um, tend to hold in their feelings. Men tend to hold in their feelings. I'm not saying that women don't do the same, because they also do the same. I'm not saying that women don't do the same, because women also do the same. They tend to hold in their feelings sometimes too. But men try to hold in their feelings a lot, and honestly, they just don't care about other people's feelings, really, unless it's their girlfriends. And sometimes they don't even care about that. Um, oh my gosh, my nose is so clogged. And it's like not even filled with snot. It's like, I know that might be a little disgusting, but it's just like shut. I don't know, but um, yeah, men decide like to hold in their feelings. Sometimes you will not know when a man is suicidal because of that. That's kind of a bad thing. I mean, it's not a good thing, and I understand that some men do it because it shows to be a sign of weakness. At least that's what they think. Of course, women think differently. So if you're a woman or a man that believes in expressing your feelings, of course you will not understand that to other people. Um, Men tend to be more aggressive at the wrong times and get into fight or hurt people. Women also do the same. I'm not saying that women don't do the same, but I'm saying household wise. Yeah, this is not household wise. I mean, like domestic violences. That's not what I'm talking about. The domestic violences, men and women beat up each other. Okay, it is just that in America. In other countries, men are more aggressive to their wives. In certain other countries, and like Muslims and that kind of crap. That women are supposed to be in total. This is true. Women are supposed to be, and men are supposed to be head over women, and head over the household, all over all the children and all that. Now, if you're not a Christian, of course you would not believe in that. And of course, you're probably not going to understand that. But I'll explain more later. Um, but people take that out of context and believe that they can kill their women, which I disagree with that totally. God does not agree with people killing each other, whether it be women killing men or men killing women. In the United States, out of I think it was like 2,000 cases of domestic murder, the women killed more men, killed more of the men than the men killed of the women. And one thing I disagree with is a lot of times women will get away with domestic violence and with hurting other people. And here is an example. My dad knew this one person, and she was a girl, and she was very abusive to her last husband. Her husband did not want to fight her. Her husband just took the punches and didn't tell anybody about it. And she started hitting on him one day, and he pushed her. He didn't push her like too hard, but what happened is he did push her, and she fell through a screen door. So the screen popped out. She fell right through the door. She pressed charges. He went to jail. But she was abusing him, and she was abusing him for some time. But yet he went to jail, and she was set free. And one reason is because the man did not want to admit that he was being abused by his wife. And in fact, that happens a lot. And men do not. In fact, when men do get beat up by women, they do not. They're too wussy to beat up their wife or anything like that, and they don't talk about it. They're like, I'm getting hit by my wife. I'm not going to say it to anybody. I'm not even going to say it to my closest friends. That's how they think of it. Now, I think of that differently. If I'm getting beat up by my wife, I'm going to put her in jail. Okay? That's not a nice wife, okay? And to you guys, it's not a sign of weakness. It might seem that way, and people might make fun of you. But if you do get beat up by any girl, it's not. It's their fault. It's their aggressiveness. And if you do not want to hit them back, I totally understand. I mean, I don't want to hit my girl back, but if any girl hits me like a man, it is abusing me like that, you might as well, treat him like a man and put charges to him, okay? It's not worth it, okay? But anyways, men and women can be aggressive. And here's some stories of women. Now, same thing, men do the same. I'm not saying that men aren't the same. But a lot of people think that women are all, oh my gosh, I'm the most nicest person in the entire world. Now, sometimes they can get crazy, and sometimes they can absolutely hurt and kill people. Now, I heard of these stories, but on the radio station I heard them on, the guy did survive. So, the guy survived both stories. And I have another story that I heard from my teacher in school when I was in middle school. Two stories here. One story is, okay, now I remember. A woman thought that her husband was cheating on her. She didn't have 100% proof, but she shot her husband in the penis and in the chest and in the face with a shotgun. The man did survive. The husband did survive. She went to jail, but seriously, just because you think he cheated on you, okay? Unless you have absolutely 100% proof, even so, you shouldn't be shooting your husband, okay? You shouldn't shoot anybody for anything like that. You shouldn't stab anybody or hurt anybody like that. And here's another story. A man came home late from work from another day. Him and his wife got into an argument. His wife was getting really, really mad at him, and he had to use the bathroom. He had to take a crap. So he went to the bathroom. A little bit later, his wife knocks down the door with a knife and stabs him right in the chest. I'm like I'm listening to the story on the freaking radio. I'm like, why? Do you need to stab your husband in the chest because he, went to the bathroom in an argument? It's insane. Okay? I'm not trying to be sexist here. Like I said, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that. Let me turn the brightness up so I can actually see this, okay. And here's another story. This story actually happened in school. Now, I wasn't there at the time, but this happened years before I was in middle school. And my shop teacher, he was telling us a story about this one girl and this one guy, and this girl got mad at her boyfriend because they had a bad date. So she stabbed him in the back with a razor blade. It wasn't a big razor blade, it was a small one. It was a small razor blade knife. But she still stabbed him in the back because they had a bad date. Now, how crazy is that? Okay? And for y'all men or women that say that women ain't gonna do nothing or ain't gonna do squat, no, when they get mad, sometimes they get off the handle. And that is a con of the women, and that is also a con of men, because men also do the same with other men, and so on and so forth. Men do get into fights a lot. Now, nowadays, a lot of women do get in fights with each other. I mean, just yesterday there was couple fights at the high school. I mean, I was there, and there's two guys, and there's two girls are fighting. So girls also do get in a lot of fights too. I'm not saying that women don't get into fights, and I'm also not saying that guys don't get into fights. I'm also not saying that girls are crazier than guys, but I'm saying that the hostility of women and for not good reasons is actually increasing, definitely. Um, so that's definitely a con. Uh, I was about to say. Oh, okay. Cons of some other men are like men. We ain't that flexible. So I mean, we try to bend over backwards and we break our back. I mean, it's totally possible, but women are are more flexible and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's possible for a man to become really flexible, to be able to fit into a small box and all that. Women are better at that. They have the natural advantage of that kind of stuff. Um, that is a con on the man part that he's not too flexible. It is a pro on the woman's part. Con on women. There's more cons on men's part. I'm not just saying that that's it for the men. There is many more cons for the men's part and for the women's part. I just don't know too. I just didn't do too much research on that. Women can, like I said, react sometimes. Men do the same. Like I said, I was talking about that later. Women aren't as strong or fast as men. It also takes more. It takes longer for a woman's brain. If a woman gets a concussion, it takes longer for their concussion to heal. And they say, well, some women actually report having worse symptoms than men sometimes. Now, sometimes, like I said, sometimes men have the same as women, and vice versa. But I mean, it has to do with your physiology. But it's usually women that takes a long time for them to heal from brain injuries. Now, physical injuries like cuts and bruises and stuff like that, I have no idea. I have to do more research on that kind of stuff. But I know for a fact brain injuries, they say it takes longer for a woman to heal. And of course, there's more. Boys and girls also learn differently. Now, this is some stuff on boys and girls and how they learn. Boys learn better with hands-on experiences and moving around more. Boys are usually more visual learners than girls are. It's because how our brain develops. Girls, their memory and hearing, I forgot what that was called. I used to know. I mean, a couple years ago, I was learning about the brain parts, but I know that that I can't talk today. So sorry, guys. You have to excuse my talking. I just can't talk today. I, I can't talk. The front of your brain, the hippocampus, and well, not the hippocampus. The hippocampus is girls' hippocampus and grows differently than guys, of course. And so does guys' cerebrocortexes, and so does the women's cerebrocortexes. Women do develop faster. So, and of course, women do got different parts of their brains, which is different. Like women can see more shades of color. It's less likely for I found a pro for a woman. Women actually have it's less likely for a woman to be colorblind than a man. Men are usually more colorblind than women because of their physiology. Physicalology. Sorry. So like I said, I can't talk today. I'm doing more screw ups this video than any other. But anyways, it's because of physiology. And the same thing with being bald. It's usually men become more bald than women do. So that's also a con of a man, and a pro of a woman. But women usually tend to like fiction better. But in school, school is becoming more girl-friendly than guy-friendly. And if you see the I wouldn't exactly say the intelligence rate, but men are becoming less intelligent than back then. And women are becoming more intelligent um, because of the different learning styles. And well, when I first come across this, I mean, my dad was talking about it, and then I also came across this on a Prager University video. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I mean, I'm not copying them; it's their work. But anyways, they were talking about how men and women do learn differently, and men are more rowdier and all that kind of stuff. And men need to move around more, and men, they're more visual, more hands-on. They learn totally different. Well, I don't want to exactly say totally different, but they do learn pretty differently than girls do. And girls, they learn more just by sitting and listening, and um, they don't need to be too much hands-on to learn. Now, women are sometimes more hands-on, and men are sometimes, learn like women. And, it just depends on the person, on how they learn. Everybody learns a little bit differently as well. I'm not saying that all men learn the exact same way, or all women learn the exact same way. There's also exceptions and stuff like that. Women tend to like fiction better than nonfiction. And in school, if you notice, when you're in elementary school or in middle school or anything like that, and they do any type of read aloud or any type of reading of any book, whether it's a passage or any such thing like that, it's usually fiction or fantasy or something like that. And I would say one reason is because of the teacher's interest and because of literature and stuff like that. But nonfiction is totally different. School nowadays is totally different than, of course, back then in the long time ago. Of course, nowadays, people are becoming more intelligent, and it's not because of I say it might be a little bit, but one reason why there was a huge development, there's been a lot of development of the world, actually, in the 1800s, the 18, 1900s. There was a big boom in technology. And one reason why is because of the schools and the prices of education. Way back then, if you were a peasant, in other words, you would have to work for all your life, you didn't really go to school. And if you didn't go to school, you didn't learn much. And the only thing you knew how to do was your work. I mean, that was all you needed to know. I mean, it's different than a banker. A banker needs to learn their banking. Okay? A peasant is totally different than a banking. You put a banker that has no idea how to farm, take care of animals, or kill animals, or butcher animals, or fix their tools, or make tools, out into a farm and say, go farm, and they're going to have to learn everything. It's going to be totally harder. Okay? I forgot what I was about to say, actually. I mean, that could actually bring up an interesting topic on how people were definitely taught back then. I mean, way back then, men were taught how to hunt, how to fish, how to farm, how to kill animals, butcher them, fix things, protect, fight, you know, because that's what they, like ancient Greeks and in ancient Rome. As soon as the men are little children and they're old enough to fight, they're taken from their homes, put in barracks, taught all their life how to fight, and then they go out on the field and beat up their enemies. That's how they were taught back then. They were taught on I forgot what I was about to say. They were taught on the things that they needed to do at the time. Nowadays, we got all these new jobs and all these new school and opportunities. So there's more opportunities because of school, so there's more jobs and more technology industries and more ideas. So the boom of the population and the boom of learning increased the boom of technology. But of course, the schools are changing rapidly, and it's becoming more girl friendly than guy friendly. And personally, I think that this world is getting pretty dumb as well. Yes, it's getting smart industrial wise, but then again, it's a lot of greed in this world. I think that I'm actually starting to get off topic on some of this stuff, but it is good information anyway, so you mean to write it down. But anyways, the like I said, the difference between boys and girls is definitely how we are being taught now. And like I said, back then, men were taught differently than women. Women were taught how to do the dishes and be able to make clothes and be able to weave and sew and cook and take care of children. Because when the men were out there hunting and fishing and working all their livelong day, trying to make a living, the women were back home taking care of the children, teaching the children, the young men and females, how to do proper table etiquette and stuff like that. And then, of course, when the males were old enough, their father would take them out, or the elder, or your dominant male, or anything like that, would take you out and teach you, like I said, how to hunt, fish, work, build, that kind of stuff. And a long, long time, it was built on those roles. And there's nothing wrong with those roles. In fact, of course, that is how exactly should be, really. I'm not saying that every single woman should be a housewife, okay? I mean, women can do other things. But it's becoming a difficult situation for their children. First of all, back then there was a lot of homeschooling because of the prices of actually going to school. But now, since you have other preschools and all that, yes, you can pay for it, but you need father son, mother son, father daughter, mother daughter moments. Okay, just don't go sending them to school and then it's. I think that it needs to be changed a little bit. I do not disagree. Like I said, I do not exactly disagree for women doing jobs or anything like that. But um, cooking meals. I mean, somebody needs to cook a meal, okay? And when the mother and father come home from work, ain't nobody want to cook a meal. I mean, I think. Well, first of all, my family we cook meals. We actually cook a meal. We don't put no microwavable dinner or anything like that. Well, first of all, we don't even have a microwave right now. But we don't do many microwavable dinners or anything like that. We make our meals. I mean, that's how it is in our family, at least. And that allows bonding time. We're not just sitting around at the television. That allows for bonding time. That actually will allow you to experiment and learn and teach. You'll be able to teach your children how to cook. Because I know how to cook certain things. And I know how to cook because I have to cook every single week. And when I was younger, my dad was starting to, start to teach us how to cook and stuff like that. So it's a good thing to learn how to cook, because if something were to happen and you become poor or anything such like that, because even if you are in a rich family or you're in a middle class family or anything such like that, and you're actually able to buy microwavable meals, you can actually make a meal, like make a decent sized meal for cheaper than like 5 microwavable meals. Okay, and microwavable meals are actually expensive. That is, and also when you're making meals, you can make sure that you get all the protein and all the vitamins and all the vegetables that you need in a meal. And you can also make it the way you want it. You can maybe get some recipe books or even do experiments. And I know that's kind of off topic, but I'm saying that the way we are learning and the way society is going is not exactly the best. There's nothing too majorly wrong with it. It's not like we're all gonna die. At least I hope not. But of course, you'd have to do more research into that, because I didn't do too much research into family relationships because of father and mother working. But on the topic of boys and girls learning again, the roles are definitely changing, especially in school. It's becoming more girl-friendly. That's the bottom line. It's becoming more girl-friendly than guy-friendly. I can actually look up a website, but I can look up more websites on this and show it to you guys, but it would be too much like work, and it would probably put this video into the hour range. And I hope it don't, because this is a big slide. Now here's the Bible stuff, and I'll explain some of this stuff. The curse of the genders. And if you do not believe in the Bible, you're going to have to watch some of my other videos, okay? Or look up some reasons why the Bible is right, okay? And this is what I say to you atheists that are actually atheists. If you are an atheist, and you do not believe in the Bible, and you do not believe in the Bible because it goes against your thoughts, like whether it is because God did not like gay people, or whether it's because the gender roles that it does teach, or you just totally disagree with it, then you're being quite foolish. And also, if you are an atheist and if you research things against the Bible, you're never going to get things for the Bible. You get what you look for. I can look up proof for evolution, and it gives me so-called proof for evolution. It does not mean that that's exactly proof for evolution, but if you look up the proof against evolution, then you'll be able to find that there is proof against it. If you look up proof for evolution, you're not going to get any proof against it. But if you look up proof against it, you're going to see the proof that they say. You're going to see what they say is proof, and you're going to see that there's stuff that contradicts that. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Just if you actually are going to do research on the Bible, or if you're a skeptic or anything like that, and you just don't believe this, you look up. You don't go looking up what you want to look for. Okay. You look up what is necessary. Like if you look up, okay, if you want to believe that the moon is made out of cheese, and if you look up proof that the moon is made out of cheese, all you're gonna do is get proof that the moon is made out of cheese. Okay, but that's not the case, unless if you believe that the moon is made out of cheese, then you're local. But if you look up for proof that the world's made out of cheese, then that's all you're gonna get, okay? The moon's not made out of cheese. But let's read these verses. Genesis 3:16 through 19. This is the King James Version, so that, of course, this is going to be hard to understand. I'm going to translate this for you. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be of thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Okay, so the first one, the woman's curse. This is the woman's curses. They're multiply in sorrow. In conception. In other words, they're more empathetic. They're going to be more empathetic, and of course, they're going to be more emotional. That's exactly what it says. It also says that sorrow shall be brought forth for childbearing. It also can be interpreted in that there'll be more pain in childbearing. Oh wait, actually I pressed the wrong one. No, go away. Blah, blah, blah. Their desire shall be of the husband. You love your husband and that kind of stuff. But he shall rule over thee. I'll explain more into that. He will. When I say rule, I don't mean like an emperor. Like, you do what you say or off with your head, okay? You don't go killing your wife just because she didn't listen to you, okay? But anyways, the curse unto Adam, the male. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, which is the tree of life, which is, the tree of good, the knowledge of good and evil. And God said, do not eat of the tree. If you do not know the story, Eve, which is the woman, which is what he said unto the woman, Eve, she was Adam's wife. She was made out of his rib. And she got, there was a serpent, which was the devil, which told her to eat the fruit. And he convinced her to eat the fruit. She ate the fruit and she goes, wow, nothing happened to me. I'm going to tell my husband. And then he told her husband, and her husband obeyed her. So since he believed and listened to his wife, the wife is now supposed to listen to her husband because of that. Men, he said, because you have eaten of the tree, of which I commanded ye thee, so in other words, saying that I commanded you not to eat of it, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Okay, that's what that is. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. It's going to go more into that. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns and thistles shall be brought forth of thee. And thou shalt eat of the herb of the field, and thou sweat of thy face, shalt thou eat bread. Thou shalt return unto the ground, for out of it I was trying to speak German there for some reason. I was going to say vast. Vast thou taken. Hat that. For dust thou art, and out then... I was reading so well, I was talking so well that I messed up. See, I thought it was going to be a good day today. But anyways, for dust thou art unto, and dust thou shalt return. The also thing is, man was made out of soil, or dust, or however you want to, say it. So, thorns and thistles were made. Okay, so things that were such as thorns and, the thistle stuff, roses and all that, it is a pain in the butt to take care of. I mean, I live in an area where there's a lot of thorns and all that. And, of course, when roses were brought to America and the rose bushes started going through, farmers cursed that day. They hated that day because getting rid of the thorns, you would have to get rid of the thorns or else it's going to hurt you or your animals, that kind of stuff. But anyways, more elaborate on the curse of the man. The curse of the man is that the ground was cursed. In other words, we are supposed to farm now. We're supposed to work every single day by the sweat of our brow. Now, of course, later on in the Bible, it does talk about man and women are supposed to take a break on the seventh day, which was the day that God also took a break, which was the Sabbath, which was Saturday. But the Jews decided to take that out of context and said you literally can't do anything. You can't eat, you can't sleep. You can sleep, but you can't do any work on that day at all. You can't even walk so long. That is a misinterpretation. Well, the is that you do not go to work on that day. You don't go doing the hard work. I mean, that's a day of break. And like it says that you shall eat bread. You shall eat of the herbs of the ground. In other words, you cannot eat of the Garden of Eden anymore. You have to plant your food. You have to eat of the ground until you die. You have to work your life to be able to sustain yourself. You know, whether it would be hunting or anything like that. But it does talk about eating of the fruit. Well, at that time, nobody ate meat. At that time, humans did not eat meat. The humans didn't start eating meat until after the flood. If you do not believe in a flood, I have a video on that. Well, I have two videos on it. The first one is a black screen. That is the crappy video, but it is on, did the Colorado River make the Grand Canyon, or did the flood did? And if you want to be technical, it was caused by the flood that the Grand Canyon was carved. But of course, it does explain on the flood if you actually want to watch that. I mean, I have that on my channel. So those are the gender curses. That's why men are stronger. Men are actually able to work and be able to take beatings. Is so we are actually able to work all our livelong day, okay? Women were not made to work all the livelong day like we are. You know, even though we're supposed to eat more and all that because, well, one reason why we're supposed to eat more and we're supposed to drink more is because our muscles take more energy than women because women do not have that much muscles. Or men also have, well, men have bigger brains, men have bigger muscles, men are bigger, period. We have bigger hearts, we have bigger digestive systems. We take up more energy. That's why we need to eat more and all that. But anyways, next slide. Men are supposed to sacrifice and love their wives. Well, I should say wives. As Christ has done for the church. And it also talks about women also treating their men like kings. And there's many, many verses. I'll give you another verse. Next one, and of course other ones. On how women are supposed to obey the men. But women nowadays are not obeying their men and are killing them instead, okay? I know it is real bad because, well, first of all, it's real bad for them in their view because it seems that women have been suppressed so much and they can do more. I'll explain it like this. Just because you can do something that your man cannot, in other words, if you're stronger than your man, or you can do more work than your man, or you're less wussy than your man, or you could be smarter, even smarter than your husband or boyfriend. It does not mean that you should be ahead of him. For instance, the president. You could have the most dumbest president in the entire world. But just because Albert Einstein might have been one of the most smartest people in the world does not mean that he had more power than the president. The president has the right to veto laws. He has the right to pardon people. He has the right to give ideas to Congress, and of course, Congress members as well. You know, you could have a really dumb congressperson, okay? You could have a really dumb congressperson. It does not mean he's going to be staying in Congress forever. He's probably not going to. You can have a really dumb Congress member to make the dumbest laws on the planet Earth. Okay? But everybody has to follow those laws. I mean, Albert Einstein might be a lot smarter than the Congress member that made the dumbest law on planet Earth, but you still have to obey the law. Okay? And of course, the president would also have to be dumb for not vetoing the law. Okay? So you'd have to have a dumb president and a dumb Congress member, but dumb Congress members. But the thing is, it's the power. It's not. It's the political power, really. It's the political power, not the physical power or the mental power. It is the political power. Like I said, president-wise and stuff like that, we have to listen to the president. For instance, if some countries do have kings, but America does not have a king. We have a president. But if you were to have a king and you are supposed to obey the king, no matter what the king or queen says, you have to listen to him. So if the king or queen says, run around in circles, jump up and down, and then smack your son upside the head, and then shoot up in the air, and then go rob a bank, you gotta do that, or else all your family is gonna lose their heads, okay? It's the political power. Because even if the king is the most dumbest person on the planet, or the very weak person, he is still the king. The guards have to listen to him. Even though the guards are stronger than the king, and the guards can kill the king still has more political power. And you have to listen to the king. In this case, it is the husband that has the political power. Just because you as a wife or a girlfriend may be smarter or may be stronger than your husband or boyfriend does not mean you absolutely have the authority over him. I'll explain over here. Colossians 3:18. Wives, submit to your husbands as fitting in the Lord. The Lord made you and I. Okay? To disobey the Lord is to literally not recognize your own existence. Okay? I mean, you don't believe in the Lord, so how did we get here? You could believe in another God, but that does not make it right. Just because you believe in something doesn't mean it's true. Okay? You can believe that the moon is made out of cheese. Does not mean it's made out of cheese. Just because you believe in it, it is not made out of cheese. You can believe in it. You can believe that Adolf Hitler was a good guy, but does not make it so. I mean, maybe to the Nazis he was a good guy, but to Americans and Jews and Christians and black people, it was not. To homosexuals or to people with mental disabilities or physical disabilities, Hitler was not a good guy. He was local, he was crazy, and he was a dummy. Just to put it that way, he was cruel and he was a dummy. Just because you might believe that he was the great guy does not make him a great guy. You can believe that God is not real. You can believe that God is a pussy. Excuse my language. But you can believe that God is dumb. It does not make it so. Okay? You still have to obey God, even if God is not making laws the way you want it. Because if you don't want to believe in God because of this, then you're a fool. Okay, that's all I gotta say. God made you, and you shall obey it. More verses. Ephesians 5:22 through 24. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord, because the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church. He himself being the Savior of the body, but as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husband in everything. As I said before, for the men are supposed to love their wives, and sacrifice themselves as Christ has done for the church. Women are supposed to submit to their husbands because he is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. So to disobey and to not listen to your husband, you are not listening to God. And yes, this is a sin. I know that Christ has died on the cross for our sins, but this is in the New Testament, after Christ's death. And Christ still presses this onto people. Okay? So it does not matter. You're still supposed to listen to God. I mean, not everybody is perfect, and I can understand if a wife may not agree with a husband, and may say that she does not agree with a husband. But try your best, if you are a girl, to listen to your husband. Okay? Timothy 2:11-12. A woman must learn quietly with all the submissiveness. Sorry, I can't talk today. But I do not allow women to teach or exercise authority over a man. What are women doing nowadays? They're doing just that. They're teaching and exercising authority over mankind. Like man. When we say mankind, we actually mean man and women. But when I said it like right there, I mean like man, like actual men. The gender man, that is what they're exercising over. I know people might be feminist and be like, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Because God's a dummy. God's not a dummy. There is a total perfect reason why that is happening. And if women would just listen, there's a problem with men as well. And, well, first of all, the problem with society nowadays is the way people are being taught, for one. The way the law is being taught. The way women are becoming more independent and becoming head of the house, being the man of the relationship. Women are now becoming the man of the relationship instead of the man of being man of a relationship. Nowadays, if you want to boss your girl around, they go, there ain't no whoopee for you tonight. Hey, and that's one reason why this stuff started changing, because women, all they have to do is leave their husband because of that, for no good reason. The law is the law, okay? If you decide to break the law, even if you are saved, it's still not right. It still does not make it right. Okay? As us Christians, we are supposed to try not to sin as much as possible. Try not to lie, try not to commit adultery, try not to say God's name in vain. But we all do that all the time. We should try not to, okay? So we should try to listen to God. More on this. Titus 2:4-5. In this way, they will train the younger women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be self-controlled, pure, fulfilling and duties at home, kind, being subject to their own husbands, so that the message of God may not be discriminated. These are some of a whole bunch of verses that talk about the authority of man over woman. I know you might not like it, but that's what I've been saying through the entire video, is that you still have to listen to your husband. I mean, that's a good thing for a man. I mean, It's one less sin that the man has to worry about. But of course, thing about the man is we're supposed to work our live long day, and we're not as well. Well, we are working, but the way society is too, work humbles people. I like working sometimes, but work definitely humbles you. It teaches you life, okay? And if you want to sit around and be a lazy folk, or be a spoiled rich person, fine. But one thing I never want to be is a spoiled rich person. I mean, it's okay if I was rich, but I don't want to be spoiled and I don't want to be greedy, okay? I know that's kind of weird. Everybody wants to be a spoiled rich person. It's the way they have to do nothing. But, really, the way I think of it, I think that being spoiled and rich, like being a spoiled rich person, like it says in the Bible, it says that it is easier for a camel to go to the eye of the needle than a rich person who loves his money. Other words is, well, this is not I'm not actually reading this, so it's not a quote, it's not a quote, it's not word for word. A man who loves his money to go and to enter into inherit the kingdom of God. Other words, greedy people, people that love their money and are spoiled and are rich, well, rich people really, that are greedy, which if you're spoiled, in other words, you get everything you want, you're probably greedy. You are probably not going to go to heaven. Because you basically worship your money over anything else. That's basically breaking a rule in God's book. Now, of course, if you're saved, that's a different story, but let's move on. And basically, that's the video. I wanted to try to keep it as short as possible, but there's many other things I could have added or talked about in this video. Hopefully, this actually makes sense to you. I'm not sexist. I'm not trying to be a sexist anyways. But, anyways, this point of the video is everybody's sexist. There is a stereotype for boys and girls, okay? Men and women are not 100% equal, okay? We're equal in maybe intelligence. Men and women can be both really, very smart in every single way. Men can learn 20 languages, and women can learn 20 languages. Men can learn all the math, a whole bunch of mathematical equations, and men and women can do that. And men can be history teachers, and women can be history teachers. Men can be scientists, and women can be scientists. But we both learn differently. We both see things differently. We both view things differently. We both work differently. We both have different physical traits. One's stronger than the other, one's faster than the other, one's tougher than the other, one's more flexible than the other. One heals faster than the other when it comes to certain things. The roles are different, biblically and really physically. One can give birth. One can give birth to children. But that's basically the point of the video. I'm just addressing sexism and how this world is getting out of control. And I disagree with the sexist stuff and feminist stuff. I should actually put feminism in the thing too. But I guess I can make another video about that too. But like I said, sexism and feminism and that kind of stuff, I definitely disagree with that kind of stuff. It's not biblical. It's not even necessary. It's not necessary for feminists to be. I'm an anti-feminist, and it's not because I hate women or I am trying to be like them back then. Like, women listen to me or I'm gonna spank you. Okay, no, I'm not like that. I'm just doing that because feminists are actually, instead of saying that men and women have equal rights, men are also being suppressed, and men are now starting to be the less dominant sex. And it might pain other people to hear this, and This is true. Women are supposed to be listening to the men, and that the men are dominant for certain things. Of course, women are also dominant for certain things. But men are are um are supposed to be listened to by their wives. Okay, so you have to submit. Unless you want to disobey the Lord purposely. I mean, that's your fault. That's your problem. But I'm saying that that's what God says. It's up to your choice to do it or not. But obey God and worship Him. Okay? And the bottom line is, men and women are different. Okay? And you should obey the Lord. So, but with all due to say, I'm not trying to be sexist or bad or anything like that. But moving on, please, like I said, subscribe and turn on notifications. And I will see you next video. Also, check out my other videos and that other kind of stuff. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. And I will see you.